past several decades, the multilateral trading system has provided predictability and stability for companies, economies across the world. It has helped economies to growth and lifting hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. The appellate body, a very important part of the WTO system to resolve trade conflicts, has been one of the most successful international bodies for settling disputes. WTO members have generally been good at complying with its ruling. But now the WTO system is slowly grinding to a halt. It is probably in its deepest crisis ever. Since the start of this century, the world has witnessed rapid economic growth, technological changes that has transformed not only trade routes, but also the very way in which we trade. And the result has been bigger gaps in the rules of WTO, either because rules have become outdated or because of the absence of rules in many areas. For instance, just two examples. Market distorting subsidies, often channeled through state-owned enterprises. They go unchecked because the current rules don't cover them properly. Or e-commerce. The rules don't cover e-commerce at all. It's a new and very important area of trade. And that leaves big chunks of the new digital economy outside agreed and enforceable rules. And WTO is a member-driven organization, so it can't simply reform itself. The responsibility lies only within its members. Another important issue, I mentioned the dispute settlement mechanism. That is the core in WTO's ability to function in a meaningful way. And the appellate body is on the verge of paralysis right now because the nomination of new judges to replace those who are retiring are being blocked by the US. Another example, many member countries in the WTO ignore their transparency obligations, not being open with their trade policy when it comes to government support, for instance. They have an obligation to report that, but they don't. So the WTO is now able to function efficiently with these behaviors, and that means we are not able to secure a level playing field for business. Key members are not supporting the system, but opening for unilateral measures, with effects that we unfortunately know too well. So the WTO must adapt, or it will be in serious trouble. And everybody will be hurt, but of course the most vulnerable countries will suffer the most. And only the members can change this organization. And that is why in the EU, we depend on fair, transparent, rule-based trade for our economic prosperity, want to take a leading role in pushing for reforms here. We are publishing some ideas today. We are discussing this with member states and the European Parliament, of course, and we want to start discussions with other WTO members how we can make the system more efficient for everybody. So you will see in these papers that we talk about how we can update the international trade rule book so it's fit for purposes for the global economy, looking into new rules or updating old ones in several areas, tackling forced technology transfers and industrial subsidies, for instance. It looks at how we can strengthen the WTO monitoring role to make committees and trade policy reviews more efficient, and to sanction WTO members if they repeatedly fail to meet their obligation. It discusses how we can work in new areas without everybody agreeing. Today, a handful, even one member can block others from even discussing new areas. So we need to see if we can work with plurilaterals that are open and inclusive in order to move forward in important areas, such as e-commerce. And we also look at how we can overcome the deadlock of the dispute settlement system, making specific proposals to address the concerns that has led to the blocking of appointment of judges. These improvements could improve the dispute settlement, make it more efficient and timely, and enable the judges to focus on substance.